They told you retirement would be relaxing, that the hard part was behind you, that after decades of working, raising, giving, you'd finally be taken care of. But what no one told you was this: after 60, support doesn't always come from where you thought it would. The calls slow down, friends disappear, the systems you trusted, they start showing cracks, and suddenly the question isn't who will take care of you. It's what have you built that still stands when no one shows up. This isn't a story about fear. It's a blueprint for strength. Because the truth is, the most powerful support system isn't made of people. It's made of pillars, 6 of them, and each one has the power to carry you farther than any promise ever could. 1. Financial stability. Most reliable support system isn't a person. It's your financial independence. Family may care but may not be able to help financially when you need it. Key practices: budgeting wisely, reducing debt, and planning for emergencies. We spend most of our lives believing that when the time comes, someone will be there for us. A spouse, a child, a sibling, a lifelong friend. We assume that if we give love, loyalty, and time, those things will circle back when we're older, when we're tired, vulnerable, and in need. But here's the truth. After 60, that expectation begins to fracture. Not because people don't care, but because life doesn't cooperate. Your children might live thousands of miles away, working 2 jobs, raising their own kids, drowning in obligations you once carried. Your friends might be battling their own health issues, their own loneliness, or may simply no longer be here. And your spouse, the one you pictured growing old with? Sometimes, even they are taken from you earlier than you expected, or emotionally fade long before they're physically gone. So what happens then? Who do you call? Who shows up? The hard lesson many people learn in their 60s is this: relying on people is not a plan, it's a hope, and hope isn't enough. The good news? You have time. Time to build a support system not made of promises, but of pillars, real, practical, self-sustaining foundations that don't age, get tired, move away, or forget to call. These 6 pillars won't just hold you up, they'll allow you to keep standing tall, even when life starts chipping away at the edges. This video isn't about scaring you, it's about preparing you. And when you're prepared, you're not just surviving old age, you're commanding it. Let's start with the first, and arguably the most essential pillar: financial stability. Because when everything else wavers, money becomes the most dependable support system you'll ever have. Just ask Henry. He's 68, lives modestly, and retired 3 years ago. When his wife was diagnosed with early-stage dementia, it wasn't a child who stepped in. It wasn't a friend. It was his savings. His financial discipline from years ago gave him the freedom to hire help, reduce work stress, and be present with her during the most critical period of her life. "I didn't know the money would matter this way," he said. "But now I see. It was the most loving thing I ever gave us." We often think of money as cold, transactional, detached from the emotional fabric of life. But when used wisely, money buys the one thing older adults need most: options. The option to choose quality care, the option to remain independent longer, the option to say no to what drains you and yes to what restores you. Building financial stability doesn't require wealth, it requires clarity. Understand your monthly costs, know what income is fixed and what's flexible, downsize if needed, cut the unnecessary, build an emergency fund, and above all, stop expecting someone else to rescue you. Because the truth is, financial self-responsibility is not just practical, it's liberating. You deserve to age with dignity, not dependence. And your bank account, managed with care, can quietly protect that dignity every single day. 2. Physical health. Health determines your freedom and quality of life. You alone are responsible for maintaining it. Small, consistent efforts, exercise, healthy eating, regular checkups, pay off. There's a saying that goes, "A healthy person has 1,000 wishes, but a sick person only has one." And after 60, you begin to understand exactly what that means. Because no matter how much you've saved, how loved you are, how full your calendar may seem, if your body doesn't cooperate, everything else grinds to a halt. It's not the dramatic moments that steal your freedom. It's the quiet ones, the stairs you can no longer climb, the chair you struggle to rise from, the morning stiffness that lingers into the afternoon. One skipped walk becomes a week in bed. One ignored pain becomes a diagnosis you can't ignore. And slowly, invisibly, the life you imagined shrinks, until it revolves not around what you want to do, but what your body lets you do. But here's the part they don't tell you. You have more control than you think. After 60, your health doesn't fall off a cliff. It erodes, and erosion can be slowed, redirected, even reversed, with small, daily choices that compound over time. Let me introduce you to Teresa, age 66. She was diagnosed with prediabetes at 59, borderline hypertension at 61, and had her first fall at 63. That was the wake-up call. She didn't try to become an athlete overnight. She started walking 20 minutes a day. She swapped sodas for water. She added stretching. 2 years later, her blood sugar stabilized. Her doctor took her off one of her medications, and she hadn't fallen since. It wasn't about discipline, she told me. It was about deciding I wanted to be here longer and better. Your health is your freedom. It's the difference between choosing when to stop working and being forced to, between visiting your grandchildren and FaceTiming from a hospital bed, between being a burden and being a blessing. And this pillar doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. Move every day, even if it's slow. Choose food that heals, not just what's easy. Rest, hydrate, and get your annual screenings, even when you feel fine, because feeling fine doesn't mean you're well. It just means you haven't seen what's brewing yet. Don't wait for your health to scream. Listen while it whispers. Protect it, not out of fear, but out of respect, for all the years it's carried you, and all the years you want it to carry you still, because no one can walk your path for you. But if you take care of your body, it will walk with you longer than anyone else ever could. 3rd, social circle isolation is dangerous, emotionally and physically. Family can't always be your only source of connection. Strengthen relationships through community, hobbies, and friendships. You could have the perfect blood pressure, a healthy nest egg, and a roof over your head. But if no one calls you, no one visits, and the silence stretches longer than you expected, the emptiness begins to echo louder than any illness ever could. That's the quiet truth of aging. It's not just about survival. It's about connection. And after 60, your social circle either becomes your safety net, or the absence of one becomes your most silent threat. Loneliness doesn't feel like danger. It feels like watching TV while no one else knows you're awake. It feels like making dinner for one again. It feels like a conversation that's only happening in your head. But research shows that isolation is not just emotional. It's physiological. It raises your risk of dementia. It increases inflammation. It weakens your immune system. And it carries the same mortality risk as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. What's worse, the most isolated people are often the ones who never expected to be alone. They raised kids, built careers, hosted holidays, and now, one by one, their closest ties moved away, grew busy, or passed on. You don't notice it happening until you reach for the phone and realize you're not sure who would answer. That's why the third pillar of support isn't just having people, it's keeping them. And if you've lost some, it's finding them again. Take Sam, 72. After his wife passed away, he fell into a fog. He had friends, but most were connected to her. He felt awkward showing up to events alone. He almost stopped going altogether. But one Tuesday, he walked into a community center pottery class. No one knew his story, but someone smiled, offered clay, and asked how long he'd lived in the neighborhood. 3 months later, he hadn't missed a single Tuesday. "They don't replace her," he said, "but they remind me I'm still part of something." Your social circle doesn't have to be large, it has to be alive. You need one person who texts just to check in, one neighbor who notices if you haven't opened your blinds, one friend who knows how you like your coffee. And if those people aren't in your life right now, don't wait for them to appear. Go find them. Volunteer. Join a class. Go to the same place at the same time every week and let time do its quiet work. Be awkward. Be the one who says hi first, because your life might depend on it. You were never meant to age alone, and while the world won't always come to you, you can meet it halfway. Fourth, sense of purpose. Purpose gives life direction, keeps your mind sharp, and prevents emotional stagnation. Retirement can leave a void. Fill it with passions, projects, or service to others. There's a strange thing that happens when the kids are grown, the job is done, and the calendar stops telling you where to be. Time opens up, but meaning doesn't always follow. After 60, you might wake up and realize there's no longer a need pulling you forward. And without something to aim at, even the brightest mornings can feel dim. Purpose isn't just a lofty idea, it's a requirement, not for staying busy, but for staying whole. Because when you no longer feel useful, the mind begins to whisper, "Why am I still here?" And those whispers can grow into something darker if left unanswered. Let's be honest. Many of us built our identities around roles: parent, provider, professional, partner. But when those roles fade or change, what's left? That's not a crisis. It's an invitation to redefine, to rediscover, to reignite a different version of you, one that isn't limited by old labels, but rooted in inner truth. Meet Anita, 70. She was a school librarian for 35 years. She loved her work, but retirement came abruptly. The first year was travel and rest. The second was quieter. She found herself drifting. Until one day, while organizing old books at home, she had a thought. What if I read to kids who don't have grandparents nearby? That turned into a weekly program at the local shelter. Now, she says, I feel more alive than I did when I was paid for it. These kids remind me that I still matter. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't need a paycheck, a title, or even an audience. It might be writing that memoir, starting a garden, mentoring someone younger, making meals for new moms, walking dogs at the shelter, learning a language, teaching one. The only requirement? That it pulls you forward. Because when you have a reason to get up, your body listens, your mood improves, your health follows. It gives structure to your time and fire to your spirit. You are not done contributing. You are not done becoming. You are not post-life. You are post-obligation. And now, You get to choose what really matters. So ask yourself, what lights me up? What breaks my heart enough to act? What stories are still waiting to be lived through me? Because if you want to stay vibrant, sharp, and emotionally strong, you need to keep living on purpose. 5. Emotional resilience. Life will bring grief, loss, and setbacks, but your ability to process and move forward is key. Practice self-reflection, gratitude, journaling, or join support groups. Emotional strength reduces dependence on others for inner peace. You can have money in the bank, your body in shape, a calendar full of plans, and still feel like the world just tilted beneath your feet. Because after 60, life doesn't stop throwing punches. You just have fewer distractions to keep you from feeling them. And in those quiet moments, you'll realize the most important pillar of support might not be outside of you. It might be inside. Emotional resilience isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about standing up after things fall apart. It's about grieving a loss, facing the ache, and saying, I'm still here. It's about holding space for the pain, but refusing to let it be the full story. You've lost people. You've watched friendships fade, relationships shift, bodies weaken, and roles dissolve. And maybe no one talks about it, but it hurts. And if you don't learn how to carry that hurt well, it will carry you. Let me tell you about Robert, 74. He lost his wife to cancer 4 years ago. For 2 years, he barely left the house. Friends reached out. He ignored them. Family offered support. He said he was fine. But one night, in a moment of raw honesty, he wrote 3 words in a notebook. I'm still grieving. That was the beginning. He didn't try to erase the pain. He walked with it. He joined a bereavement group. He started journaling every morning. He planted a tree in her honor. Today, he says, the ache is still there, but now it has a place. It doesn't define me anymore. Resilience is not the absence of sadness. It's the refusal to be consumed by it. And it's not something you're born with. It's something you build. Every time you speak your truth, every time you take a breath before reacting, every time you choose healing over hiding, you're reinforcing that inner pillar. And don't confuse resilience with toughness. You don't have to muscle through. You don't have to carry it alone. In fact, resilience grows when you allow yourself to be seen, to ask for help, to cry without apology. It grows when you choose to feel rather than numb. So build the habits that hold you steady. Journal your thoughts. Practice mindfulness. Speak kindly to yourself. Seek therapy, even if things feel small. Share your story, because someone out there is struggling with the same silence. Because when the winds come, and they will, emotional resilience is the anchor that keeps your soul from drifting. 6. Adaptability. Aging brings change. Resisting it brings suffering. Embrace new tools, social methods, and routines. Those who adapt remain joyful, curious, and engaged with life. We like to believe that wisdom comes with age, and often it does. But what no one says aloud is that wisdom without adaptability can become a cage. The world is moving, fast. Technology shifts, social norms change, health needs evolve. And if you're not willing to pivot, to evolve with it, then even your most well-earned wisdom can begin to rust in place. Adaptability isn't just useful, it's vital after 60. Because so much of what once felt permanent will shift. Your neighborhood, your family dynamics, even your own body. And the people who thrive aren't the strongest or the smartest. They're the ones who adjust with grace. They let go of what no longer serves them. They make peace with a new version of life instead of mourning the old one forever. Let's talk about Clara, 81. She swore she'd never use a smartphone, said it was too late to learn. But after a bad fall left her immobile for weeks, her daughter set up a voice-to-text system and virtual doctor appointments. Clara reluctantly agreed. Weeks later, she was sending audio notes, FaceTiming grandkids, and even attending a digital painting class. "I thought learning something new at my age was silly," she admitted. "Turns out it made me feel alive again." Here's the truth. Resisting change doesn't stop it. It just ensures you're left behind by it. But when you embrace flexibility, when you admit, "I don't know how," and follow it up with, "but I'll try," you reopen the world to yourself. Adaptability is found in the small moments. Taking the elevator when the stairs feel unsafe, switching to a lower impact workout, accepting help without shame, asking a neighbor to show you how an app works, choosing hearing aids, glasses, or walking aids because function is freedom, not failure. It's easy to get caught up in the identity of who you used to be, but every season of life asks something new of you. The question is, will you meet it with fear or with curiosity? You are not too old to change. You are seasoned enough to change smartly. The more you adapt, the more control you reclaim, not over the world, but over your response to it. And that's where peace begins. So be proud of your traditions, but don't be trapped by them. Learn, shift, move, and most of all, remain open. Because adaptability isn't just how you survive change, it's how you grow through it. If life after 60 teaches you anything, it's that support doesn't look like it used to. The hands that once reached out to hold you, some are gone, some are tired, and some are just too far away. The systems that once felt secure begin to creak. The world moves on. And in that quiet space, one truth rises. You must build your own foundation. These 6 pillars, financial stability, physical health, social connection, purpose, emotional resilience, and adaptability, aren't luxuries. They're your lifelines. Not because people have failed you, but because life is unpredictable. And when everything shifts, what you've built within yourself is what remains standing. Each pillar isn't about becoming self-sufficient in a vacuum. It's about becoming self-supported in a way that honors your independence and your interdependence. It's about preparing for the days when no one else is available. And it's about welcoming others with open arms when they are, without leaning so hard that you lose yourself if they step away. Maybe you've already built one of these pillars, maybe 2. But what would it mean to build all 6? What would it feel like to wake up knowing that your finances are steady, your health is supported, your friendships are alive, your days have meaning, your heart is resilient, and your mind is flexible? It wouldn't mean the storms don't come. It would mean you don't collapse when they do. So let this be the blueprint, not for retirement, but for renewal. You are not winding down. You are rising into the most powerful version of yourself yet, if you're willing to build it. Start small. Pick one pillar. Strengthen it. Then another. This is how we age with strength. This is how we live with clarity. This is how we stand tall, no matter what comes next. Because support isn't something you wait for. It's something you create.